he never mentioned a damn thing to Big. As his label mate, he had an obligation. As a fellow New Yorker, he had an obligation to tell Big. And I don't want to hear about no, I don't want to snitch, I don't want to rat, I ain't got nothing to do with that.
You know those moments?
You know those rare moments in hip-hop when someone says something so careless, so out of pocket, that the entire culture freezes and just stares? Yeah, one of those moments just happened again. But this time, it wasn't a clout-chasing newcomer or forgotten industry hanger-on. It was Mase and Camron. Two icons, two architects of an era. And in less than a day, they didn't just take an L. They got completely wiped off the board by a man they clearly underestimated. Gene Deal didn't yell. He didn't posture. He didn't need theatrics. He simply spoke. And in doing so, reduced them to looking like kids caught doing something shameful in a sacred...
disturbing to me. That somebody sent me the video. I looked at it, and it was Cam and Mase. And here they go laughing again about the security the night Big lost his life, which was disturbing to me, bro.
Place. And here's the part that really sealed it. When you make light of the night Biggie Smalls was killed, especially when you get it wrong, you don't get grace. You don't get jokes back. You get consequences. No warnings. No retries. In hip-hop, some lines aren't blurry. Cross them, and the culture doesn't argue. It buries you. It began the way most viral moments do now. Casual, careless, wrapped in laughter. Mase and Camron sitting comfortably on their podcast, joking, reminiscing, treating history like a punchline. They were talking about that night in Los Angeles. The night the timeline split in two. The night Biggie was gunned down. The night security failed. The night that still lingers over hip-hop like an unquiet spirit.
And the
no one has ever been able to lay to rest. And there they were.
There, and I know exactly what happened.
The first
smiling through it, laughing, turning trauma into content, mocking the image of security breaking down behind the car, as if it were a comedy sketch instead of the aftermath of a murder, as if it weren't the moment their brother was taken in cold blood. Then Cam said the words that flipped everything upside down. Mase, say names. They thought it was harmless, just banter, another episode, another clip for the algorithm. Two veterans joking from a distance, long removed from the danger, long removed from the consequences. What they forgot is that not everyone ever got the luxury of forgetting. Gene Deal didn't forget. And when those clips began to spread, when the laughter replayed again and again across social media, he didn't rush to respond. No online tantrum, no back and forth, no noise. He waited, because when Gene Deal finally spoke, it wasn't a debate. It wasn't to defend. It wasn't a joke. It was to put something in the ground. The first blow landed with what people now call the Brandy story. For years, Mase had floated the same explanation to anyone who'd listen, that on the night Biggie was killed, he was locked inside a hotel room, surrounded by dozens of bloods, too terrified to step outside. According to him, Brandy, that Brandy, was calling nonstop, begging him to pull up to the party. That was his shield, his excuse, his reason for being absent when the gunfire erupted. Gene Deal dismantled that story in seconds, not with rage, not with yelling, with a calm, almost amused tone that made it worse. He pointed out the contradiction like someone correcting math error.
And it's still F with me when I hear his music. It's still F with me because you was around and you was a part of hip-hop greatness. And to see that kid go out like that, when he has so much love, man, yo, when Big was showing me his contracts and talking to me about his artists and everything like that, and we was laughing and joking.
But the real...
How could Brandy be physically with you? Also blowing up your phone asking you to come out? The way he said it, slow, deliberate, made it clear he wasn't debating. He was teaching. That's when it became obvious my Dollery was finished. Because it wasn't just a false story. It was a sloppy one. The kind of lie that falls apart the moment someone who was actually there starts talking. And Deal was there. He lived that night. He ran after the shooter's car, while others were scrambling. So when he stared straight into the camera and said, "You had an obligation to warn Big they were coming for him," it didn't sound like speculation. It sounded final. Then came the so-called knockout question, the one my Dollery and Cam thought would end the conversation. Why didn't security fire back? They framed it like a checkmate, as if Deal and the team froze when the bullets flew. Deal didn't hesitate. He explained it cleanly. Puff had dropped his seat all the way back, trying to vanish into the upholstery. The driver hit the gas instead of backing up, leaving Big's side wide open. By the time anyone could even register what was happening, the shooter's car was already gone. And my Dollery? He wasn't there at all, supposedly hiding in that hotel room. Or was he? Because then Deal dropped the detail that changed everything. He said my Dollery already knew. They spoke on the phone that night. The threats had been circulating. Crips talking openly days earlier at a basketball game. Targets named. Danger clear. My Dollery knew Puff and Big were marked. And he said nothing.
Happen?
Let that settle.
He tells
The
me
same
that Puff
man
is not
laughing
behind
years
getting
later
any
about
more
security failure.
I said, wow. So the part where you was talking about I didn't have to go, I never spoke to Puff about what Unique told me because I had spoke to Chaz Williams a day after that. And Chaz Williams said, yeah, I'm hearing like they coming at y'all.
And then there's
was, according to Deal, someone who stayed silent while his own artist walked into a setup. Deal didn't have to spell it out. He didn't have to accuse. He connected the dots and made sure the rest of us saw the picture. But the deepest cut wasn't what Gene Deal revealed. It was what happened after. My Dollery stumbled through his response. Camron, the man famous for always having something to say, the undisputed heavyweight of talkbacks and slick replies, went completely quiet. No posts, no jokes, no dismissive you reaching, just dead air. And in hip-hop, silence like that is louder than any diss. Because when Gene Deal speaks, you don't debate him, you don't spin it, you disappear. And what made it unsettling was his tone. He wasn't angry. He wasn't chasing revenge. He sounded let down, like an elder watching people he once respected embarrass themselves. Like a man who stood in the trenches while others walked away. When he said, "You wanted that top spot, didn't you?" it landed heavy. That's the kind of sentence that doesn't end when the video cuts. It sticks. It opens doors he didn't want opened. It makes you question what he knows, what he's holding back, and how much he's willing to destroy
Or to say
if
out
pushed
loud.
again.
I lost.
Here's what gets lost
my
beneath the
freedom
viral
behind
clips,
Tupac
the
dying.
memes.
I lost business. I lost house, a whole lot of shit. I lost my freedom.
Let's start with
The shock reactions. Gene Deal didn't do this for attention. He didn't need likes. He didn't need relevance. He spoke because he's one of the last people alive who actually lived that night, who saw the chaos, who ran after Carr, who carried the memory for nearly 3 decades while everyone else slowly turned it into entertainment. So he looks at my Dollery and Cam laughing. Turning that moment into monetized nostalgia, he doesn't see legends. He sees opportunists feeding on someone else's tragedy. And in his world, people like that don't get cautions. They get consequences. But this is where it stops being just about them. Because Deal didn't come empty-handed. He came with details. And those details don't just circle my Dollery and Cam. They radiate outward.